You know, there's inspiration everywhere. I absolutely believe that's true. And where some people may not see something at all that's inspirational, others of us might. And so I just think that that's wonderful. I love that about life. I love that about the universe, is that the universe meets us where we are and shows us its nature every single day. Now, when I was in ministerial school, they tell you that basically anything that you go through can be fodder for a sermon. Yeah, boy, you know, I really have a sense for that now. I get it. And so what that means also is that wherever I go, I have opportunities to receive inspiration. So, in the spirit of giving credit where due, at our last class with a book study about Thou Shalt Not Suffer, 7 Steps for a Life of Joy, Babs came in and said that she had just learned or been reminded that the word abracadabra, you've heard that word, right? Did you know that it is actually a Hebrew phrase, and it means I create what I speak? Huh. Okay, I'm a religious scientist, so I kind of go, duh. And what I love to be reminded of is the fact that prayer works. And I would like to just take an opportunity, because I love to hear stories about how prayer works. So does anybody have a little story about how prayer is working in their life? There we go. There we go.
I had a period of, let's say, sickness, and I got to thinking about prayer, and I prayed to get over that, and it worked, and then I started thinking, and this is probably 6 months ago, I started thinking about, instead of waiting until you're sick and praying, how about just praying for complete health? Why not head it off at the pass? And so I started doing that, and I went and saw a doctor, and he did a test and said, you need a consultation on this, and I just held steady. Not that there was no good outcome for this consultation, just that I was absolutely healthy. And I drove all the way down to Stanford Friday, and I went through their clinic, and the physician assistant came in and took down my story and everything, and she said, I don't think you need us. She said, but let me get the doctor. And the doctor came in and said, you look good. And I thought he was looking at my wife, but he said, you look good. And I said, oh, well, thank you. And he kind of took the story too, and he said, people that come in here don't look as good as you do. They don't smile and they're not happy. And he said, and that's probably because you don't need our services. We got your file. If you need to come back, fine. He says, but enjoy the day. See ya. So that's the power of not praying to be healed, but praying to be whole.
Well, this is kind of a little story, but it's still, it woke me up to the power of our thoughts. It's kind of like a prayer, and it's from our class where we were talking about say what you need and then receive it. I was walking into Rayleigh's one morning to get a cup of coffee on my way to my peer counseling group, and I was feeling a little down. I had kind of a little down week, and I said to myself, oh, I remembered our class. So I said, I need someone that loves me to call me and support me. I need to hear from somebody. I didn't even say what. And I'm walking to Rayleigh's, and within 10 seconds my phone rang, and it was this woman that I've recently gotten to know, not well, but she said, hi, Tommy. She said, I was just thinking about you, and I just wanted to call and see how are you, and make sure you're okay. And we chatted, and I told her I was just going in the store, and I'd call her back, which I did later. And I hung up, and then about 5 more steps, I remembered, oh, I just asked for that.
Any day now, I expect to be. In fact, wait, didn't I just hear something that something happened to someone who has already started the Prosperity Plus 2 class, the end of the first class? Didn't I overhear something? Yeah, yeah.
Actually, it's not really my story. It's Tim's story. We started the Prosperity 2 class, and after class we went out and thought we felt so good, we were like, let's go buy lottery tickets. So we go out and we buy lottery tickets, and Tim got a scratcher and he won $50.
And so that just goes to show you that the universe can bless us from known and unknown sources. And the lottery, there is nothing untoward about the lottery. That is just, although on the other hand, it's like you can't win if you don't play. I had an experience when I went to the Ministers Conference a while back in Las Vegas. And so as we walked in the door, the president of the the Ministers Council stood and handed each one of us a $10 chip. Yeah, I know. That's swag, right? So, you know, at first my first thought was, wait a minute, gambling? Really? And then I said, wait a minute, whoa, 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 whoa. God is all there is. God is in all things. I get to choose how I want to see that or not. And so I took that $10 chip and I turned it into $50 at the blackjack table. So, any rate, you know what? Anyone else? Okay. Yeah, all right, here we go.
Boy, do I have a story for you.
All right.
Picture this. No.
And there I was.
There I was. I'm a firm believer in affirmations. So now you don't see it, and now you do. Just remember that. Don't see it, believe it, you do see it. I was in death hole debt. And with the class also I expressed a need. But I kept saying an affirmation. With God there is no debt. My debts are paid miraculously with grace. And all of a sudden, they were. Now, I didn't win a bunch of money, but I got a loan that paid off 22% interest on credit cards for 7%. So it's not going to grow, it's going to decrease. So I am no longer in debt. Yay!
Is anyone else? So people are on a roll. Okay. Hey, we're on a roll now.
This one's a graphic demonstration. So I had shoulder surgery about 4 months ago, and I went to see the surgeon about 2 months ago, and he said he had some concern that maybe the rotator cuff had torn again. And I thought, well, could I had enough prayers because Doug was sitting in vigil when I was on the surgery table, and oh, you don't really need that. Are you
Actually, we do. We want the people on the CD to hear.
Oh, you're recording me?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll talk louder. Anyhow, so I wasn't too worried because I had enough prayer in credit, and it seems to be working fine. I can't do this with a full beer yet, but come Oktoberfest time, I will.
So I want to do this from time to time because I think it's important for us to remember that this teaching works. We're not sitting in classes. I'm not up here on Sunday just, talking to hear myself talk, despite what some might believe. This stuff works. And it's important to be reminded of that. And what better way than for us to share with each other how these principles are at work in our lives? So how many of you heard about the great dress debate this week? You know, it's so funny because I was on Twitter early in the week, and I start seeing these responses about the dress is blah. And I was like, what? Well, finally, like about a day later, it was on, I think it was on Entertainment Tonight or something, and the deal is apparently someone posted a picture on Tumblr of this dress. And it so happens that given the design of the dress, one could see it as either black and blue or gold and white. And she said, that seems really bizarre. That's what I thought, too. Well, now, here's what's interesting. I heard Barbara say, how could you not hear about it? It was everywhere. And what was, in fact, the site, and like I said, I think it's Tumblr, not sure, not that important, 30 million views in 24 hours. I know, Patty says, you really get a life, right? But here's what that illustrated. And again, you start seeing it on the talk shows and this and that. All of a sudden, it's on Facebook. It's all over. And responses kind of ran the gamut. You see people talking and, well, it's blue and black. What's wrong with you? Why can't you see that it's blue and black? Or the other side of that is, wow, I see it as white and gold. What's wrong with me? And some were more invested in being right than others. And that was the interesting point, is that there still is in society a pervasive desire to be right. Yeah, it's true. Me too. And I'm aware of it now. I am aware of it now. When my ex-husband and I were in therapy, and trust me, I wasn't like the best person either. So I know it sounds like I'm dissing on him. I'm not. I think I've told stories about me too. But at any rate, so we're in therapy. How many in therapy have heard the phrase, would you rather be happy or would you rather be right? Right? Okay, so you know what my ex's response to that was? I can only be happy if I'm right. Whoo, boy. Now, here's the deal. How many people in their secret heart of hearts believe that's true? Okay, just saying. Now, what was interesting to me is, as I'm looking at it, and I saw gold and white. So just for fun, how many saw gold and white? How many saw blue and black? Yeah.
I saw white.
You know what? And you know what it comes down to, it's an optical illusion. So no doubt, while all these people are fighting and pointing fingers and wanting to be right, so here come the scientists. All right, well, because of the light vibration, this and that, and reflecting and blah, 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 and it hits the eye in a certain way. So the scientists had it all figured out. And the answer was, you're both right. Now, as a good religious scientist, my answer to that is, duh. I had zero investment. It was kind of like, I saw it this way, they saw it that way. It's all good. And oh, by the way, in the greater scheme of the world, does it really matter? Although I guess I'd rather see a debate about a dress than some other things that we have debates about.
So if you're wrong, do you have to be unhappy?
Who says you're wrong? There's no right or wrong. There is no right or wrong. And that's the beautiful thing, is that if you are invested in being right, if you are attached, if it's that important to you, and somehow you are proven by facts that perhaps your thoughts were erroneous, then, you know, the more invested you are in being right, the more frustrated, unhappy, and maybe even angry you may find yourself becoming. We see what we choose to see. Remember that optical illusion where it's a black and white picture and you can either see a woman's face or two chalices? You guys know that one? Does it matter? Now, what I've found, just for fun, is if you show the picture for someone, you say, there's two chalices there. They go, yeah. Or you say, there's a woman's face there, and they go, yeah. Because you're telling them what to see, and that's what they choose, that's what they see, because you've already told them what to see. Words have great power. It was fascinating to me when Babs brought up the whole abracadabra thing. And it's like, I create as I speak. And so I thought, wow, that's really great. And of course, I go straight to the whole thing about magic. What is it about magic that fascinates people? In fact, let's go further. What is it about wizardry? What about the occult, paranormal, superheroes, vampires, werewolves, aliens? Oh, yeah. Yeah. Now, I so don't get that. I really don't. And and you know what? I have no judgment. I really and truly don't. I really don't. I don't get it. And I understand that there are people that do. Oh. Okay, so and of course what I will, science fiction. Okay? And okay, so I got to share this. I have to. You know I do. Science fiction is for those who can't handle reality. But seriously, what is it about these things that people really get fascinated about? Why is it that we absolutely are blown away by magicians like David Copperfield? He's done some just crazy things. Didn't he make a bridge disappear or something? Just something just really out there. And why is it that we are just captivated by that? What I believe is true is that we, each and every one of us, have within us the desire to be more and to believe in something more. That's hardwired. We want to believe that there are greater possibilities than we are experiencing in our lives or what we see around us. Okay, so here's how many of you heard this question? If you could have any superpower, what would it be? I know, and that's okay. That's okay, because you know what? I have sat with that question, and people they want like strength to be able to fly, blah 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 blah, and and it was so interesting because I really cannot think of a power. I don't want to read minds. I have enough challenges dealing with people that I already know what they're to say outwards. I'm challenged by that. Do I really want to know what people are thinking? No. And I really and truly have never had a great answer. Probably the closest would be to be a wizard, So someone say, would you rather be a samurai or a wizard? I think I'd rather be a wizard. But truly, and this is not just because I'm a religious science minister and I'm supposed to say this, truly, I would love to have the power to instantly reverse every negative thought. I'd love that. Negative thoughts are, I stub my toe and trip and land on my rear end more over my own less than positive thinking than anything else. The second superpower that I would like to have is the ability to always see a blessing in every situation. Now that's another challenge. To see the blessing. Now, in my experience, as I've been on a spiritual path, is that without fail, even some of the most difficult things that have happened to me, ultimately, sometimes a fair ways down the road, I can look back and say, yeah, I get it. And, oh, by the way, maybe next time the universe won't have to kick my butt so hard. Maybe I'll listen to the still small voice and I can avoid the cosmic 2x4. There is always, I believe that everything is unfolding for the highest and best good of everyone all the time. That can be hard. I'm not trying to sugarcoat anything. And when things are really dark and tough and painful, that affirmation helps me because it doesn't deny that I'm in a rough spot. It doesn't deny that I'm uncomfortable and possibly, experiencing a feeling like unhappiness. It's not denying any of it. And it is affirming that some way, somehow, and I'm not seeing it right now and it's okay, that this is unfolding for my highest good and the highest good of everyone around. And I really believe that that's true. So we are fascinated with things that are outside our normal experiences of reality. Because, as I said, I think that we all want to believe that there's something more, there's something bigger, there's something greater, there's something that is transcendent. I heard something. I heard something once. It said, there's a power for good in the universe greater than you are, and you can use it. Anyone else heard that one? Now, that sure sounds like a superpower to me. A power for good in the universe greater than I am, and I can use it. So what is true for me when I remember that is that I always have access to infinite knowledge, infinite love, infinite creativity, infinite source, infinite supply. I must recognize it. I must affirm it. I must acknowledge it. And I must be open, receptive, and allowing of it. Or my job is to say yes. My job is not to figure out how it's going to happen. My job is to say yes. There is a power for good that is working. I believe that the universe is weighted in our favor. I believe that that's true. And so, I get to say yes. We all get to say yes. In every demonstration that we talked about today, it started with someone saying yes to a different experience. It started with Doug saying yes to wholeness and perfection rather than some idea of something being wrong that needs to be fixed. And he believed in that. And guess what? Heard a couple of stories about experiencing of prosperity and abundance. Well, that starts with believing that it's possible and saying yes. Now, I put a quote up this week from Eric Butterworth. And basically, I found it intriguing because he says, you do not receive what you want. You do not receive what you pray for. Okay, is anybody else going, wait, he speaks heresy? Not even what you say you have faith in. Whoa, hey, wait a minute. You will always receive what you actually expect. Now, let me share my interpretation of that. The word expect in this context is the butt end of belief. And let me tell you why that is. I have made statements such as, I believe in instantaneous healing. But then the next word out of my mouth is, but in my experience, there is often a process involved. So it's not always a bad thing. You know, but isn't always bad or negative or, you know, it is limiting. But in that case, because, you know, I have to say, that because there is a but to my belief in spontaneous healing, probably has something to do with the fact that I've never seen it. So where are you saying but to a belief? I believe in infinite abundance and prosperity, but my bank account, the numbers in my bank account aren't supporting that. So what Eric Butterworth is saying is that it's almost reminding us that we can do all the right things. Anyone heard this? You know, you got something going on in your life and you're praying, and it's like, man, I'm doing all the right things and I'm doing my affirmations and I'm praying and I'm seeing a practitioner and I'm studying and yada, 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 yada. And it ain't working. What's up with that? Anyone have that experience? Well, there's two things. Number one, did you notice how many times I said I in that sentence? That I'm doing I. Well, immediately I am negating and taking responsibility rather than allowing a greater power, number one. And number two is that if I actually get down to the nitty-gritty, there is a but in there. And so then my job is to find where the but is. And then once I find it, then there's light. Awareness is everything to me. Once I have awareness of something, then I can make a different choice. So, yes, prayer, affirmations, faith, all of these are powerful, powerful things. However, we can negate them, and we oftentimes do without even thinking about it when we add the word but. So the next time things aren't happening, I know the first place that I have to look is what was within. So at the bottom of it all, What is the but that's kind of hanging me up? So in the context of this, the word expect is, what do you believe is true? So that is, there is the, it is done unto you as you believe. So there's kind of the caveat, is that we can say the right things, we can do the right things, we can go through all the right motions. If there's something underneath it all, there's a false belief, or a belief in something less than, other, and limiting, then you're probably going to stub your toe on it. I know I do. In fact, I'm lucky if I just stub my toe. Sometimes I run flat into a wall and then realize that I built it. A very popular little saying is that as a metaphysician, we don't say, I'll believe it when I see it. That's very mainstream. As a metaphysician, what I say is, I will see it when I believe it. And that is really powerful. And so if you're not seeing it all, it's okay. Go find the butt of the matter. And then, now when I find those, that's the time I'm on the phone to my prayer partners. And that's the time when my prayer partners are on the phone to me to speak the truth, because I'm believing in a but. Ernest Holmes says that nothing is real unless we make it real. Nothing can touch us unless we let it touch us. So we're always at choice. And so if something is showing up for us, we can affirm its power or not. We can allow it or not. So back in the day, the magicians, before they did their little thing, said, Abracadabra. And what I know it means is that I create as I speak, or I speak and I create. You know what? You know, we talk about metaphysics. You know that metaphysics means beyond physics, right? You guys know that? So, as a metaphysician, I know that I speak and I create. Seems to me like we are already master magicians. Master magicians. Okay, so I had this great idea that I was going to learn this magic trick to do for you guys today, right? So I got up on YouTube and I'm checking it out, and there are these kids, these teenagers, okay, you do this, you do that, blah, 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 blah. So I'm like, okay, yeah, I can do this. Well, you know, I wasn't even getting it half the time. So does that mean that there's something wrong? No. What that means is that I have not honed the skill yet. And so we are all master magicians. We need to hone our skill. And the other thing I learned is I'm watching all these videos and the kids are going, okay, so here's the deal. Here's how you really do this. It's not magic if you know the trick. We know the trick. We know it. And we get to practice our use of it and hone it so that when people around us are watching all the good unfolding in their lives, they think it's magic, perhaps, but we know the trick. Let's pray.